We just completed what I would say an incredible, not a humanitarian cruise, but a humanitarian mission. Uh, some of you were there on the ship and you saw the impact we made and uh, and how we reached the communities, which is the most uh, heartwarming part of our endeavor, and how our people went into the homes, not only give them food and water, but help them start rebuilding their homes. And many of you, some of you who probably came to the Independence Park in Freeport yesterday, there was what 1,200 people.
I think
So more than 1,200 people. Our volunteers cooked for them in the park and played a movie for the children. Personally, I initially thought, does it really make sense? People are suffering for water and food, and we're going to play a movie for them and make them popcorn and barbecue for them. But I think that was the best thing we did, because the hope, the smiles on the face of the children, families, the time they got to bond and tell us their stories, I think was very humane, because they want someone to hear them. I guess they want somebody to come there and tell them it's going to be okay, and I think that's what we achieved, which in my opinion has been the most successful and most touching part of our trip. We sailed with around 400 plus volunteers. All of them came back today, but they're all asking about going back, and I wish I could give them a date, because as you know, it's what we've been doing for last couple of cruises has been totally on humanitarian basis, and it's a very expensive endeavor. At the end of the day, somebody's got to fill the gas tank, and we are trying our best together with our partners, together with our friends, to keep this going, because we really believe this is a change agent for them. uh, Eventually supplies will get to them anyway through other modes of transportation. They will get the plywood, they'll get the water, but what they need is volunteers and people on ground by their side, helping them to put that plywood up, to rebuild their roof, to clean their roads, to tell their children their school will be open, and the orphanage, which I believe was completed yesterday. The initial goal was to just build the orphanage, the fire center, and the animal shelter, but I believe Bahamas Relief Cruise team ended up also repairing 12 homes. That was only possible because we had a lot of capable people with us, and who are dedicated and who really want to make a difference. It's unbelievable, the stories that we heard. Some of them you have heard, who were on the ship, and I would just like to say that we got to spread the right word out, because Grand Bahama does need help. It doesn't help if you go to the southern part of Grand Bahama, you see the Grand Lucayan and the marketplace intact, but that's not the entire island. If you go to the east, west, northwest, that's where you see the real destruction, and they need help. They would need help for months. What I personally believe is, if the ship continues to do the run and continues to do these volunteer trips, this would speed up their recovery by months, if not years. They need help now. Whatever we do now is of huge impact. What we do today is going to lay the foundation for their future recovery. Uh, uh, Another thing I wanted to mention was, we met with the Bahamian government yesterday. They have a new island administrator, Senator Kay Smith, and she came to the ship twice, and I believe she was overwhelmed with what she saw. 800 tons of supplies getting off the ship, hundreds of volunteers going on the road. There were 10,000 plus meals cooked on the ship when the ship was there to be distributed, and our volunteers went door to door to distribute them. So I think it's very clear even to the Bahamian administration that this ship previously has been a lifeline to Grand Bahama, but right now they need it more than ever. So we are definitely talking to the Bahamian government as well to find ways to continue this service. This mission would have not been possible if there were not people, agencies, our friends who supported us. Because as a cruise line, there's only so much we can do. At most, we would have let our crew go out and help. But rallying up all these volunteers, rallying up all this workforce, bringing in supplies, monitoring it, and the most critical part, distribution. It would have not been possible if Bahamas Relief Cruise was not there. A mission resolved together with Entrepreneurs Organization, Miami Dolphins, who have backed this mission, Secor, Entercom radio station. All these people came together because they saw the impact we made during the first cruise. And I'm so proud what we did in the last 2 days. And I don't think there's any ambiguity that the impact was there. Like, it was a tremendously successful voyage. And I would like Kimberly to give you her perspective. She represents Bahamas Relief Cruise, and she played a major role with the volunteers and with the supplies. And I want you to hear from her what she feels. Kim?
O'Neill, I moments like this, I'm a little too emotional to talk about what we witnessed. I'll have Terry from our group give you a little more specifics, but in a nutshell, it was incredible despair and amazing hope with the Bahamian people and the people that came with us, for us, rooted for us, that couldn't get on the ship. That's what I saw. That's what I witnessed. And if I speak more about it, then I'll just cry. So, Terry Bode, this was one of the leaders. Amazing, and he can fill you in on more.
Terry Bode of Bahamas Relief Cruise. Yeah, our mission was really special. It's a bunch of local restaurateurs here from Palm Beach County that came together and trying to find a do to help our neighbors in the Bahamas. And we see all the horrible images, and after a while we become numb to it. There are very capable relief organizations, the Red Cross, the Coast Guard is helping, and we're just restaurateurs. What can we do? And our mission was really centered on bringing warm, hospitable relief. That's what we do for a living. So gathering all those volunteers, we were able to do this, to go deep in the neighborhoods, touch people, deliver quality meal, with a smile, have a conversation, understand how it affected people. The rebuilding effort, again, was amazing. We were able to complete our 4 major buildings that we had targeted, but also go into people's homes and help them put roof back, do the drywall, etc., get them going again. It's a tremendous effort. The medical team also everywhere, spreading, finding people on the streets. So we had a good network communication with our volunteers that were reporting every few minutes something to people with wounds, etc. So it was an incredible amount of energy that was spent on that. And then, of course, it culminated both nights with just a giant party, because we know how to do that, throw a party. And the message was really to for the people of Grand Bahama to know that their neighbors, our community, was with their community, and that these parties were just like a bonding experience like no other. I don't think any of us comes back the same. Our lives are changed forever. We have to go back really quickly. There is so much help needed. This is going to fade away, but we'll be here. We'll continue our efforts as long as we can get support for the Bahamas Relief Cruise.
Yeah, so thanks, guys, and but it's not over. I mean, based on what we have seen, it's not over, and we need your help to get the word out. As much as we are a commercial enterprise, as Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line, we do care about Grand Bahama a lot because that's our destination. We have a vested interest in getting the island back up and running. But that did not mean that we do these humanitarian trips and then we rope in our partners to keep funding it or to assist doing it. But we strongly believe they need help, and it seems we are probably their only lifeline. And that's a humongous burden we feel as a cruise line that calls Grand Bahama its home. and we also think this is the right thing to do. I can tell you one thing, like my board, my chairman, Kevin Sheehan, I spoke to him on Thursday last, and I said, we need to do this, and it was a conversation of less than 1 second, and even though he's in New York, and he's like, I get it, we got to step up, but we need your help to keep this going, because we need able-minded people, we need like-minded people, like-minded organizations to get together, to keep bringing them volunteers, to keep bringing them supplies. And after a certain stage, they also need plumbers, they need electricians, they need people who will actually get them to a livable standard. And what is happening on this side, and maybe that's because we Floridians are used to hurricanes and we know what it means, it's kind of close to our hearts, the overwhelming support. How do you justify 500 people on a work week doing all this work? They're not being paid for this. And I'm sure all of them can find another cruise line to cruise if they really wanted to cruise. So there is an overwhelming desire to help, and we are that link. So as much as we are trying to do the right thing, we need your support. We need to keep the word getting out, because you know better than anyone else, after 5 days, 10 days, it's a forgotten story. And it's very hard to keep the focus on that island. Yes, there are disasters all over the world, but this is in our backyard, and this is so close to our eyes and heart, so we cannot just stay back. We have to help them. And Mission Resolve Pachi and team are throwing a challenge, or rather getting the entrepreneurs organization rile up support from the corporates. They have come out with a $10 million challenge to raise that capital amongst the corporate world, because private enterprise has the budget, private enterprise has the resources to do it till the government gets its act together in Bahamas. So I can assure you, we're working on all fronts to keep this mission going, because they need help, and they need help now. Thank you very much.
Any questions from you? I have a question. I was on the cruise with you guys, and I can attest to all of the amazing work that all of the volunteers did. I was very surprised, though, on the way back to talk to individuals who said that they were surprised that they had to pay to come back. Can you expand the decision made to charge people for coming back from the Bahamas, some of them just to get supplies, charging them, I know it's a special fee to come back on the ship?
Well, as much as we want to help Bahamas, we also don't want to create any issues, because that takes the focus away from the big picture. There is a perception locally, you have seen in the newspapers, that we brought in a lot of Bahamian residents last time, and the county told us that they had to spend a lot of money to find housing for 50 odd people out of 1,200 people, who were all properly documented, had passports and visas. And it's all over the media here locally. You know it better than I. And I have no answer for that, because from our perspective, from the cruise line's perspective, we follow all the rules and regulations. And last time was a humanitarian effort, because we didn't know if these people had even wallets with them after their homes have been flooded. But since the question was raised that these people are potentially going to be a burden here, just to keep everyone focused on the big picture, we decided we're going to charge a very nominal fee of $49, which is probably 1/4 of what the local ferry is charging them, as you can imagine, so that we are in a way using a filtration process that you are really coming here either because you want to get away from the trauma, you have some resources to at least get a hotel room or travel to your family or friend, and you're not a burden on someone. Having said that, I would still like to reinforce that I do not believe that out of the 1,200 people that we brought in last time, even one needed help. Yes, if somebody shows up and drags you to a hotel room for free, I think some people will take chances. So that was the reason, and as much as we didn't want to do that, we thought this would just squash the issue and not take the focus away from the big picture, which is to help Grand Bahama. And also on documentation front, we have been pretty stringent last time. We were stringent this time. We are totally in touch with CBP. We are totally in touch with Coast Guard. There is no rule being flouted. All the procedures are being followed. And as a cruise line, we feel the burden because, as you know, I keep repeating, we don't want to take the focus away from the big picture. Even a small thing could derail the whole purpose. So the purpose and the mission is important.
So the government agencies that we talked to.
Correct.
John said, oh, sorry, I was going to follow up.
No, sorry. And by the way, whatever we have charged is being 100% donated back to Grand Bahama. So that kind of explains the rationale here.
You know that the government agencies have been saying publicly in interviews that they want to help, that they're doing everything that they can, opening their arms to Bahamians who want to evacuate and who need help. Is that what you're hearing from them too? Because it sounds like they told you guys.
To be honest, we are working so busy, and we are so busy with doing what we're doing. We're not trying to listen to anything because we're just trying to do our job. We're trying to help the people in Grand Bahama, and we're trying to do the right thing, and we're trying to follow all the rules. If there is some perception out there the governments want to help, I leave it to your discretion.
I guess time for one last question, maybe. Thank you guys.
I have a question for you. How do we get the word out? How do we tell them? How do we tell the world that they need help? You have been on the ship for 2 days. You've seen it, and I'm sure we can't help all over the world. But based on what we have seen, I think they need help. And how does media help us to spread the right word? Because this is the only way people, through your stories and through your coverage, I think we want to spread the word, and we need your help. And if there is anything you think we should be doing, please let us know.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.